How to read a birth chart, identifying the basic components. So this is an astrological birth chart. When you were born, this is you here in the middle, and these are the constellations above and the planets and where they were when you were born. So we're just going to go through the basic components of an astrological birth chart here. And you can see we have the 12 signs on the outside: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And the signs are divided up into fire, which is red, earth, green, air, looks like a gold color, and water, blue. The first sign is Aries, and that is what is known as cardinal. And the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. The fixed signs begin with Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So we have cardinal, the beginning, fixed, the middle, and mutable, the ending. And then it goes on like that around the circle. We have the planets. We have the sun right here, the moon, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and the North Node. And you're going to want to memorize all the signs, all that the signs mean, all their meanings, and you're going to want to memorize these symbols of these planets. So the next thing we're going to look at are the houses. So these are the houses here. This is the first house, beginning here in the sign of Aquarius. We have the first house of this chart. So in this chart, the first house, Aquarius, is on the first house. Pisces is on the second house. Aries, the third. Taurus, the fourth. Gemini, the fifth. Cancer, the sixth. Leo, the seventh. Virgo, the eighth. And on around till we get to 12. Now these houses are going to change based on what time a person is born. So I can change the time here. We're at 5:30 p.m. Washington, D.C. We're going to change the time to 7 a.m. 7:30 a.m. And that gives us Virgo on the first, Libra on the second, Scorpio on the third, and so on. So those are the houses. So we can stick with this chart. We can see where the planets are. We have Mars here in the first house. So Mars would be in Libra in the first house. The Sun in the 12th house of Virgo. Mercury's in the 12th house. Venus in the 11th, in Leo. So you can see the 11th house, the sign of Leo. Now we have these numbers here. These are the degrees. Each sign has 30 degrees. And if we look at Venus here, Venus is at 12 degrees and 35 minutes. 12 degrees and 35 minutes. The moon is at 3 degrees, 20 minutes. This chart begins in Virgo at 24 degrees and 8 minutes. Now we also have the chart split into 4 quadrants, this cross here. This is known as the ascendant or rising. And that again is at 24 degrees and 8 minutes of Virgo. This is known as the midheaven or the MC, and that's at 23 degrees and 20 minutes of Gemini. Over here we have the descendant, and that's at 24 degrees and 8 minutes, and it's in the sign of Pisces. And down here we have the IC, and that is at 23 degrees and 20 minutes. You can see down here in the chart here, it shows the AC, the MC. It also shows the degree of the house cusps as well. Second house, 23 degrees, Libra, 52 minutes. Now these lines are what are known as aspects, and they are also displayed here in a chart. But it's easier to look at it here in the main natal chart to explain it. So here we have the Sun in Virgo at 15 degrees in the 12th house, and it's making a exact 120 degree angle, which is known as a trine. A trine is an exact 120 degrees away from one planet away from the other. So that kind of worked out well. I just randomly picked this day. So we have the Sun and Jupiter making an exact trine. And we have another trine between Jupiter, or between Uranus at 23 degrees and Pluto at 28 degrees. And Pluto in a trine aspect with Mars. So if it's within 10 degrees, this program here is going to make the line visible, and it's going to show that it's a trine within 10 degrees. So here we can see Pluto is an exact trine with 28 degrees Virgo. We add 9 degrees. It's still within, Mars is still within that 10 degrees. And that's called an orb, O-R-B, orb. Venus here is making almost a 60 degree aspect with Mars. That's called a sextile. So here it's 55 degrees away, so it's within the 10 degrees, we're going to call that a sextile aspect. Venus is also making a square to Jupiter, and that's why it's red. And that would be a 90 degree angle. So the red lines are known as squares and oppositions, and the blue lines are known as sextiles and trines. And those lines are implying easy aspects, trines and sextiles, versus difficult aspects, squares and oppositions. So here we have an opposition between Saturn and Mercury. Saturn at 2 degrees, Mercury at 11 degrees. It's close enough to a 180 degree aspect, which is the opposition. Now there are other aspects that I'm not going to explain in this video, uh, but the basics, just explaining the basics, they are marked by these blue and red lines. Now, in order to read this chart, you're first going to want to become familiar with the meanings of all these terms: houses, signs, planets, aspects, midheaven, ascendant. And then once you are familiar with some of these terms and familiar with these charts and these maps, then you can interpret what this might mean for a person who's born at this day and time, September 8th, 2023, 7:30 a.m.